We're going live and we're jumping right into it. What's up, everybody? We are here. It's Pete and I this week. We are back with another X Files Retro Review Season 6. We're going through episodes 7 through 12. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. And we're going to go through quite an interesting bit of episodes tonight, Pete. We're going to look at Terms of Endearment, The Rain King, SR819, Tithonus. How do you pronounce that? Tithonus, maybe. Two
Um,
fathers and one son. Okay, so that's what's happening. We're doing six tonight, Pete. I was gonna split it up six at the start, five, five, and six, but you can't do two fathers and then skip one son. It was like one right after the other. So I was like, all right, we got to
right.
do six again because that's a big little arc there, important arc for the show. Thank you, everybody, for watching last week. That little blurb of a video I made, and thanks for watching in general and liking and subscribing and joining us for our X Files fun. Okay, we are gonna jump right into it with Terms of Endearment, which is right there, freaky ass episode there. Terms of Endearment. It premiered on January 3rd, 1999, and to 18.69 million viewers, written by David Ahman and Rob Bowman directed. It's got an 8.0 rating on IMDb. So Mulder believes that a bigamist suspected of prenatal infanticide is actually a demon. So we got some demon shit going on in this episode. So I'm gonna let Pete run away with it. You know, got a nice guest
Alrighty.
episode.
Yes. This has one very special guest star, and that is none other than Mr. Bruce Campbell, king of the B horror movies, best known for playing Ash in Evil Dead. He's also been in a lot of other good stuff. He had a Western series on Fox at around this time, I believe, and of course Bubba Hotep. And yeah, ton of good B horror flicks. So he's a natural for the X Files.
Mm-hmm.
So in the outset of this, he is portrayed as a nice family man with a wife, and they're expecting a baby, and they find out through ultrasound it has some anomalies, like horn-like protrusions. Um, Wayne, their character's name here is Wayne. He's pretty upset about this. And then later that night, a demon comes and snatches the baby from her womb. It appears to be a dream, but she wakes up and she has apparently had a miscarriage, and there's like no evidence of the baby. So Mulder and Scully are all over this because it does get referred to the X Files, but Spender has no interest in it. He throws the case in the garbage, literally,
Mm-hmm.
and Mulder picks it up and goes to investigate. And at first, they're not too sure what's going on. They have theories that maybe she had it aborted. Maybe she's responsible. But Mulder starts to develop this theory that the Bruce Campbell character, he is in fact a demon, and he has been knocking up women and trying to have a demon baby. His theory gains a little more credence when he finds out that he's actually married to another woman in the same town. And ultimately, we discover, of course, Mulder is right. Bruce Campbell is, in fact, a demon. But the story takes a really weird twist late in the episode, where we find out he's pregnated his second wife, and she is also expecting a baby. Before they can really figure out what's going on here, I believe the Bruce Campbell character actually gets shot and died. Uh, they find him. digging up the remains of his baby in the backyard. But what it turns out is that the second wife of his is also a demon.
Yes.
And when he comes to take her baby, she turns the tables on him. And her trip is the Bruce Campbell character wanted to have a normal baby, but he kept having demon babies and, aborting them and killing them. Whereas what she wanted was a demon baby, which she could only have if she mated with another demon. And they find the remains of all these like aborted babies, normal aborted babies, in her backyard. And yeah, in the end, she drives off in his convertible, happy with her little demon baby. So it's a bizarre freaking story. I really don't know what to make about this one. I like Bruce Campbell, of course. And it's one of those stories, though, that was almost just a little too wacko, even for the X Files. I give it a thumbs up, mostly because of Campbell, but it was strange. I thought the tone was really weird. Like, it wasn't comic, but it wasn't really outright horrifying, but it was kind of gross. So yeah, very uneven in tone, but hey, you gotta love Bruce Campbell.
Yes, I felt the same, man. And it's season six, man. Season six is just a it's been really entertaining thus far. In fact, if anybody listened to our previous podcast, we even skip or watch. We said just watch all of these. They're all really entertaining episodes. But tonally, the show is just bonkers. It's just like I don't know. They went to LA. They were in the midst of pop culture zeitgeist, and it seems like they were just like, let's just do whatever, man. I mean, technically, this show was supposed to be over after the movie. Fox wants us to keep going, so let's just do whatever. And this is a perfect example of it. And it's I gave it like 3.5, which is just a decent, solid episode, mainly for what Pete just said, because tonally, you don't know where it stands.
Yeah,
It's supposed to be a comedy episode, but it's kind of scary, man. That whole thing. I had forgotten about this episode completely. So when that devil
yeah,
came out, I was like, "What?" Like great special effects. It was really freaky, and then to have the I always wonder how they got some of this stuff past the censors. Because I mean, you're basically having a demon give a woman an abortion, you
yeah,
know, in primetime TV, and it's like, well, how the fuck did they get away with this? I was watching. I couldn't find, by the way, that interview that I watched with Chris Carter, that very recent one where he's talking to the people from the props museum. But they had asked him about censors, and he gave a little anecdote about the necrophilia episode. The guy who likes to, who's into women's hairs and nails and everything. Um, and they couldn't say the word necrophilia. And then all he said is, we
yeah,
just changed it to somebody. What was it like something weird, like he has an obsession with death or something like that. And just for that change of word, they didn't change anything about the story, and it passed the censorship board. So TV is weird. TV is a weird landscape, and I don't know how they got this one past the censorship board, but they did, and that really freaked me out when I was watching it now. um, and it was kind of a nod to me. Well, definitely nods to Rosemary's Baby, although I've never seen the movie, but
yeah,
the basic storyline. But I thought it was also a bit of just like Dreamland was kind of small potatoes plus plus. This one was a little bit like small potatoes plus plus in terms of like weird baby coming out. And I think, Pete, when we were reviewing that episode, we had seen that there was the original intention was to have the babies come out with like some wings or some horns or something, and they just didn't have the production ability at the time. And that maybe they finally said, "Hey, we got the money. Let's have this little baby come out with little horns and everything." And really, a freaky episode. Young Spender, down there tearing up X-Files, I did think it was funny the scene where Mulder's going through the trash. That's how he finds this.
Yeah.
So it's like it's funny because it's like the X-Files is like their fix. Like they gotta have my fix. So he's even going through the trash to 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 find something to do that's more interesting than interviewing folks about how much manure they've bought.
Yeah.
But I thought it was decent. You know, I thought the ending was kind of a letdown. It's kind of anticlimactic, kind of, just kind of too much of a neat bow at the end with the lady being a demon, and it's kind of trying to be classic X Files with the gotcha. But yeah, was reading here in some background information. I thought this was funny that the baby that had to play demon child of Wayne and Lauren Weinsider was replaced at the very last moment when all cameras and lights were already set up. The mother of the child was a devout Catholic and just couldn't let her baby get involved into anything that had to do with the. So after 45 minutes and severe frantic calls, another baby arrived on set. So the
Oh
mom was
wow.
not having it. Fox was like, "Yeah, whatever. You're making us money. We'll have
Yeah.
demon abortions on prime time. Why not?" But the mom was like, "I ain't dealing with this shit." So it's okay, entertaining enough. I'll probably put this on a watch list at the end. And like
Yeah.
Pete said, we got some Bruce, and he is, yeah, definitely being
He
called
really
a
plays
god.
against type in this too. Like he usually tends to play like exaggeratedly goofy characters, and
Yes,
he's pretty much the straight man in this. Like
yeah,
we don't see his demon side for much of it, and when we do, he's kind of a demon with a heart. Like he just wants a
yes,
normal life with a normal baby. I mean, he is like giving women abortions and shit, but that's just because he wants to do it right. He wants to be a dad. He wants to be a family man. So yeah, really different part for him in this.
yeah. Because I didn't even get that it was him at first. I was like, I recognize his face from somewhere, and then I looked it up. I was like, oh yeah, that is Bruce Campbell. So I agree with that. So guys, we're gonna move ahead. We're gonna just hurdle ahead here, and we got the Ring King. That's the next episode in
Hmm.
our season 6 review here. And the Ring King, that's an interesting story here. January 10th, 1999, 21.24 million viewers. Wow, a lot of viewership there. Um, and it has a 7.6 rating on IMDb, written by Jeffrey Bell and Kim Manners. A man in Kansas claims to be able to command the weather and appears to be the real deal. Now, this episode I did remember from first run and the rewatch. I happen to really like this one, as cheesy as it is. Um, and it does have a few really nice guest stars. Victoria Jackson is
Hmm.
probably the most famous of them. She is the famous comedian at the time. Doesn't have much of a career nowadays, as far as I know. We
No,
got
she's
Clayton.
Saturday Night Live alumni. She's probably best known
Exactly,
for her
Saturday Night
voice.
Live. Creighton Rohnher. Okay, David Manis. That's the that's the weatherman, right? If I'm not mistaken. Plays home and
Yep.
heart. Really great in it. So really good surrounding cast. And that's the basic story, guys, is that, this guy starts out Valentine's Day, Sheila, which is Victoria Jackson's character, gets in an argument with her boyfriend Daryl, and as he's driving out, he gets into an accident. But this guy, Daryl, apparently, he believes he can make it rain. Okay. And I like that. Although I've watched the episode twice, or I guess it would be 3 times already, it still caught me by surprise because the catch is that he's not really the one making all this crazy weather go down. It's
Right.
Shayla, sorry. Um, and there's this whole thing with the weatherman. The weatherman's in love with her, but she can't see it. So Mulder and Scully go down and they're investigating this. And then the story just gets silly. It just gets really silly.
Yeah.
Victoria is um, totally smitten with Mulder, so there's that comedy part in it,
Yes.
trying to be straight man to her, and Scully's just like, "What's going on?" Scully, of course, playing the skeptic, but she can't deny that some really weird shit is happening, especially when a cow drops on Mulder's whole
Yes.
platform.
That's a classic X Files moment, man. That's one of
Classic
my
X Files.
favorites.
Again, it seems like they're just going extra because remember there was the episode with the high school with the demon in the high school where the frogs fell on their heads, but they're like, "Hey, we got movie money now. Let's have a cow fall from the sky." Really, really
Yeah.
love this. And again, it's Mulder and Scully going rogue, which is so cool. You know, I love them just kind of going out and trying to find these X Files themselves. Um, and and the guy that plays Daryl's character is so funny, man, and he plays the perfect con man. And when Mulder and Scully meet him, they're like, does that look like a man who can change, make it rain?" And then all of a sudden, start raining. So
Yeah.
comedy drops were perfect in this episode. It's so damn silly. And I get it. I understand why hardcore fans from early on started dropping off a bit after season 6, especially 7, because the scare factor is gone pretty much from the X Files. Um, and some of the inventive stuff too from before. But I just can't help um, um, just loving the episode mainly because of what they do with Mulder and Scully in it and how they are doubling down on the fact that, man, we've waited for 5 seasons and the movie. We almost got a kiss. We know these two are in love. Let's just, cut to the chase. Um, and I love the scene, Pete, where Scully's trying to explain relationships to Victoria. Or was it to Victoria or is it to the weatherman? Now I forgot. But Scully's explaining the relationship, and she's like, relationships are built on friendships and this and that and the third. And she doesn't realize she's talking about her and Mulder, uh, that really that's the relationship that they have. So they're both, this X File is them
Hmm.
being like relationship counselors. And it's so odd and so out of character, but so cool. And at the end, finally, they have the big dance, and Victoria, or I keep saying Victoria with this accent, guys,
Yeah.
because I teach in a high school and I have a bunch of students named Victoria. I have to say it like this. So forgive me. I got Victoria on my mind because on my tongue because of this. Um, Victoria Jackson's character, Shayla. They're at the dance, and it's revealed that Holman Hart is actually the one controlling the weather. Okay, all the bizarre weather was a side effect of his long, silent love for Sheila. He felt guilty that his weather related problem caused Moots to crash his car, so he would cause it to rain for Moots. So then, when he realized Moots had been drunk the night of the accident, however, he stopped. So, but they finally get him to admit his love for Sheila because they're like, dude, you got to do something because look, it's flooding. Like he's so hurt by,
Yeah.
he realizes Shayla's in love with Mulder, and it starts to rain and rain and rain, and then finally there's the lovely scene where they see that we've been staring at the person that we love the whole time, and then Mulder and Scully also start dancing, and it's so
Yeah.
easy and it's so silly, but I fucking love it. I got no qualms about saying that. I love this episode.
Yes.
That's it, guys. I'm
Yeah.
tired, but that's about it.
Yeah. I liked it too, for pretty much the same reasons. It was really silly, and how the whole story is really this this unrequited love between the weatherman and Sheila, was really, supposed to be reflecting the relationship between Mulder and Scully. That was great. Also, Mulder having to fend off Victoria Jackson's advances, not very successfully. Scully does actually catch him being kissed by her at one point,
Oh
which
yeah.
drives the weatherman crazy. Um, some great lines in this one too. Like, I mean, the cow scene's a classic, but when Mulder's trying to explain with a straight face that it was aimed at him, he says, "That cow had my name on it." Like, it's the scene itself was ridiculous, but with that line thrown in, it was just, oh my god, so difficult to take seriously. But I mean, it's not really meant to be. And then, of course, when Mulder realizes what's up and that it's actually Holman causing all of this, he tries to reach out to him, and Holman kind of opens up. He explains his problems. And of course, when Scully realizes this, she's in kind of disbelief. She's like, "You're giving dating advice? Like, when was the last time you've ever been on a date?" Which is true. I mean, we never see Mulder on dates. See him watching a lot of porn, calling chat lines, but we don't actually see him going on dates. And then when Holman confesses to Mulder that he's envious of Mulder, um, he tells him, based on the way you look, I thought you were an experienced guy with women. You spend all this time with Agent Scully. She's beautiful. I just thought you two were. And when Mulder doesn't respond, he's like, "That's shocking. I've seen how you two gaze at one another." And Mulder bristles a bit, like, "Agent Scully and I don't gaze at each other, but of course they do." So it's another one of those shows where we see Mulder and Scully as other people see them.
Yeah. Um, I got the gift there of of her with Mulder with the lipstick on his face. No, a lot of really silly stuff, guys. But I like these type of episodes. I really like the comedy episodes so much, and they just hit it just right. You had mentioned Mulder watching porn, and Pete found on YouTube. What is it, like a compilation of all the porn, the best porn
Not
moments?
all of them, but yeah, some of the porn references, yeah.
I know, and they missed out my favorite one. I actually didn't even get a chance to watch it yet, the video. But you said that my favorite one wasn't on there when they're what was it about? Scully was calling him and like, "What are you watching?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm watching like Attack of Vicious Bees or something." And then you
Yeah,
think
the
he's
world's
lying to
deadliest
her.
swarms.
Yes, Deadly Swarms, and you think he's lying to her until the camera pans over, and it actually is that. That's one of my favorite. Um, no, that one and the one great Mulder's a perv moment is when the guy is checking his answering machine. He's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, honey, are we gonna see each other this week? I've raised the
Mm,
rent by, or no, there's a discount for you for 50 cents per minute if you call here, here, and here." So a lot of good stuff in this episode. A lot of good stuff. And nice little music drop. I mean, I wasn't a big fan of this band, but they are part of my teen years. We got Garbage. I'm only happy when it rains. She was a cutie though, Shirley. I think Shirley Manson was her name from Garbage. Um,
I don't know.
I think that was her name. Yeah, not my favorite band from the '90s, but she was cute. Definitely harkens back to a time. So we go from very light, guys, very
Yes.
season six ish, to an episode that for me it feels out of place in season six. Feels like a season three, season four episode, which is SR819. And now this episode here is a Skinner episode. Okay, he's the. Oh, 1 second here. I lost my page. Let me go here. SR819. There we go. And it's premiered on January 17th to 15.65 million viewers, written by John Shaban, directed by Daniel Sackham. It's got an 8.1 rating. That's surprising.
Oh.
It's the ranking had like a 7 something. I don't think this was as strong, but anyhow. Skinner is infected with a strange disease triggered by nanotechnology in his body. And somebody's got him by the balls. I wonder who it is.
Yes, and that right there, I think, says why this episode just doesn't really work. because we know from the beginning this is like one of those storylines that they started earlier and then kind of didn't follow up on immediately, but now we're just coming back to it. So there's no great mystery here. The episode actually begins with Skinner apparently dying. He starts to he's in the hospital and he's like all purple. His veins are bulging out, and he has a heart attack. And they actually pronounce him dead. So the story goes back 24 hours earlier when he first
Mhm.
started to get sick. He was in a boxing match, and he got knocked out actually, and seemed to have a bit of a concussion, but he's got this bruise on his ribs that won't go away. And just over the course of the episode, he starts to deteriorate pretty bad. So Scully checks up on him, and she finds that there's this nanotechnology in his blood that's multiplying like a cancer. And yeah, eventually Skinner's condition worsens, and he winds up in the hospital. And we can kind of start to see where this is going because I believe it was in the season 6 premiere, or it was at the end of season 5. I can't remember. But Krychek infects him with some kind of nanovirus. And
Mhm.
basically, this is his way of controlling Skinner. That he can just turn it on anytime, make him do what he wants. So once we figured that out, there's not really much more to it. I mean, we know Skinner's not dead. He does actually turn out to pull through, but the big reveal, of course, is that this mysterious bearded man, who is the main suspect in this case, is actually Krychek in disguise. And he spares Skinner because obviously the whole point of having this technology in him is so he's got his own little puppet in the FBI. So yeah, it's basically just reminding him, I got you by the balls, buddy. And that's pretty much all there is to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Like, I was kind of dissatisfied with the surprise, quote unquote, ending. Didn't really, I mean, it was, I did give it a 4.5, so I don't know. I might have liked it when I first watched it, but thinking back, I don't know if I'd give it that much. Uh, but um, this is the fourth attempt to break Skinner away from Mulder and Scully. In Piper Maru, he was shot by Lewis Cardinal, and both Zero summoned Avatar. They tried to frame him for murder, and here they infect him with nanites, which Krychek eventually uses to blackmail him. So, if you're following the series, it's just like, okay, we get it. Like, we don't want Skinner to be helping Mulder and Scully, so here's yet another episode to show us how we're going to do that. But you know that Skinner's gonna survive, or somehow, like, there's no payoff, like Pete said. Um,
Yeah, and apparently the reason why this episode was written is because they felt like Skinner was kind of becoming a bit too expendable. He wasn't playing as big a role in the show as he previously had. So I
mhm.
mean, if that's the point of the episode, of course they're not gonna bump him off. You know, he's not, even though they have him die in the opening scene, you just know he's not, because the whole point here is to give you more Skinner.
I got you. I got you. Um, anyway, so again, this is one of those "How did we get here" episodes, the flashback episodes, which I'm not a huge fan of that format. X Files does that a couple times where they give you like the big shocking death, but then it goes backwards. What was the one with the Vietnam vet? Was kind of like that too.
Yeah.
Um, this is the last appearance of the senator that helps Mulder. He's in there for a
Mm-hmm.
little second, but he is of no help.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but The one I'll give it the positive is that it definitely had early season vibes, which I dig. You know, a little darker, a little slower pace, um, kind of creepy at times. And one thing is this, man: how strong is Skinner? You know that he leaves a dent on the car when he's falling down. They always try to make
Yeah.
Skinner out to be, even with the boxing scene. I think it's always funny how they try to make Skinner out to be the like this strong man all the time. And did you notice they had some John Woo pigeons? I know you're a big fan of those type of movies. Definitely some pigeons flying around everywhere. So they try to be stylistic with it.
Hmm.
Um, uh, I wrote a note down here, Pete, and I don't remember the hell it means. Maybe you can help me. Damn, Skinner went from not good enough in Ally to shut down the investigation. I don't even know what the fuck that means.
No,
Uh,
he does. He refuses to cooperate at the end
with
with
Krychek.
Mulder and no, with Mulder and Scully. They he's he gives them he puts them on the direction of the
Mhm.
bearded man who's like Krychek in disguise, but then he completely reverses it and says no, no, doesn't recognize him, just tells
Mm,
them to drop it.
I got you. I got you. Yeah, the case is closed, and Skinner's once again mean to the agents, ordering them to report exclusively to Kirsch. Yes, definitely. And I think this is the stuff. Maybe I missed this episode first run because I had mentioned before, guys, that when I was a kid watching this, and my mom and my dad would feel the same way. We would have like this love hate relationship with Skinner because it seemed like he was on Mulder and Scully's side, and then he'd have so many flips. And I guess maybe I must have missed every episode where Skinner was taken, gotten by the balls, either by the cigarette smoking man or, in this case, Krychek. So understand that really he wasn't doing it because he didn't support Mulder and Scully, but because, somebody had his nuts in a sling. So this is definitely an episode that if you don't know that, watch these episodes and you understand a little bit about what Skinner's about and why he is an ally, but he can't always be that ally. But yeah, it was okay. It was okay. Nothing. You're not missing much if you skip this episode. Although the makeup job was pretty decent there. Now this is another weird one.
Mm-hmm.
Tithonus. How do you pronounce that? Tithonus.
Yeah, I think it's Tithonus.
All right. We both have an ex friend who might know because he was had as a major in Greek and Roman history. Okay, so January  24th, 1999. This aired to 18.83 million viewers. Written by Vince Gilligan. 8.5 rating on IMDb. Directed by Michael Watkins. Scully is partnered with another agent and
Mm-hmm.
assigned to investigate a crime scene photographer, but the encounter with him leads to deathly consequences for both of them. Now, dude, what I loved about this is, um, well, a couple things. One was the opening. I love the creepy opening of the old dude stalking the
Yes.
girl. You don't know what the hell is going on, and you get the feeling, oh, okay, is this the bad guy? Is this the monster of the week? And then you realize, okay, there's more going on. But what a creepy, well filmed opening sequence. I really love that. We get some more of Kirsch just being an asshole,
Yep.
separating Scully from Mulder because he sees that whenever they're together, shit happens. And what it is there's this guy who he's taking pictures. This guy named Helig, if I'm not mistaken. Alfred
Felling.
Felig, not
Yeah.
Helig. Um, and he takes photos of dead people. The thing is, he seems to always know when these people are going to be dead. So there becomes the FBI case, but eventually turns into an X file of like, why is this guy always there when somebody dies? And he shows up like before. the police and anybody else shows up. So we get a focus on Scully, because she's been separated with this new
Yep.
partner, Agent Peyton Ritter, from New York, to investigate this case. And this is a great sprinkling episode as far as what Scully will become, especially when David Duchovny leaves the show and sees for season 8. She becomes the Mulder character in a way, right? She's the believer, and Doggett is more of the skeptic. So the series already kind of sprinkles this in throughout season 6 and definitely season 7, where Scully really just starts to not question so many things. And there's a great example of that because Peyton is just like, yeah, it's just a open closed case. Like this
Yeah.
guy is killing these people and he's taking their photos. And Scully's like, no, there's something more here. There's something more going on. She does, ask Mulder for some advice, but this is really um, um, her, really
Hmm.
growing as this character and becoming, more awesome. Um, and so, guys, it all kind of boils down to the fact that this guy's been alive since forever. Like, he can't die. Okay. And um, because of this, he has a connection with death. Like, he knows when people are going to die. He's on the spot. And in fact, one other really great scene where Scully shows up at his door and kind of forces him to talk. And he's like, okay, let's take a ride. And he shows
Yeah.
him that he takes her to where there's prostitute. She's dealing with something with this really abusive client. And Scully gets out of the car, stops everything, gets the guy away from her, arrests the guy. And then the hooker's like, yeah, I told you, look at you, motherfucker, blah, 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 blah. And then as she's walking backwards, she gets hit by a
Yeah.
bus or a truck. Um, so, what do you call it? So there's, can't escape death, basically. And it all boils down to, Scully showing up at Felig's house, okay? Because Felig, he realizes Scully, he's able to see when somebody's about to die that she's one of these people. She's one of these next people that's about to die. And you have this tense scene between them in his dark room. And Felig takes a photo just as Ritter enters the room and shoots. They figure out that she's there and she gets shot. The bullet passes right through the camera and through Felig into Scully, who collapses. So, asshole. This guy was such an asshole. He does shoot her, but I guess the connection of whether people were going to die or not came through Felig. So when Felig dies, he's like, finally, I can actually die. Like, whatever. There was a transference there, and that allows Scully to live. So I thought it was a pretty, again, off type for season 6. I thought this could have easily been a season 4, season 3 story. So I liked that about it. And I thought it was a really good off type story for Vince, because there was no comedy at all. It was like a
Hmm.
straightforward, dark, kind of mystery episode. So it showed that he's capable of that, which he definitely proved with Breaking Bad. That it's not all jokes with me. So good episode all around. Just a nice, solid one. I wouldn't call it like a classic X Files episode, but definitely it hit all the check marks, and I thought it was really decent.
Yes. Yes. I remembered this one as well. Um, and yeah, I really liked it. The first two times I saw it, liked it again now, as you said. Very, very dark. Not necessarily scary, but
Mm,
creepy. It does become scary at a certain point where Fellig tells Scully that he's seen that, in fact, she is going to die as well. Then it gets a little scary because we've already seen with the hooker incident that apparently, like, he's never wrong. There's nothing you
Yes.
can do to stop this. So yeah, that's a little freaky. I like the Scully solo episode and her relationship with this partner, who's he's not so much overly skeptic. I think he's just like he's kind of a lazy cop. He's younger than her by a bit, and yeah, he just doesn't want to do the work. He goes straight to the obvious conclusion and is not interested in looking any further. To the point where when Scully sends Fellig to the hospital, it's like, "What are you doing, man? Like, we just need to arrest this guy. Case closed." And as you said, she's pretty aware that he's involved in this, but it's not open and shut, and she wants to get the whole case. She doesn't want to do it half-assed. She's just more professional, really. So I like that aspect of it, although Felly does turn out to be a complete boob, uh, shooting first, asking questions later. Sorry,
Mhm.
not Fellig, her partner.
The
As for Fellig, though, I thought he was a really interesting character because Scully is kind of repulsed by him, and you can understand why. He's just so indifferent to death. He doesn't seem to have any real feelings about it. He's being kind of a ghoul, capitalizing on these people's misfortune. But when he tells his story, you can kind of see, okay, like, yeah, he is kind of a ghoul, and he doesn't really have any feelings about it. But here's why, like the guy's just fucking tired of life, and he doesn't have any strong feelings about it because he's actually envious of people who get to die. He just wants it to be over. He's lost everyone he's ever loved. He's tried suicide multiple times and he can't do it. So his character is kind of repulsive, but repulsive in a sympathetic way. It's almost like there's no other way this guy could be. So, yeah, interesting villain he made.
Yeah, like you kind of do feel sympathetic for him, even though, or you feel sympathy for him, even though he is just a complete asshole. Like he doesn't care anymore. But like you said, it's like you get jealous. It's that whole question of, do you really want to live forever? That's a dream of some people, and it's like maybe you don't. You know, you don't want to see everybody around you die and uh, just be just alone at some point. If you lived forever, you would just probably be alone and not really care that much about life. um, some interesting notes here that some of the New York scenes were filmed on the sets borrowed from the cop drama NYPD Blue, which was located on the other side of the Fox lot, so maybe that gave it a little bit of its gritty feeling. And at the beginning of the episode, Mulder is speaking to a Miss Ehrmantraut. The name Ehrmantraut becomes significant in Vince Gilligan's critically acclaimed TV show Breaking Bad, where Jonathan Banks portrays Mike Ehrmantraut. So there you go. Get little sprinkles of Breaking Bad. And here, Peter says Tithonus was a figure in Greek and Roman mythology, the human husband of
Ah,
Aurora. He's the person. Aurora convinces the other gods to grant her husband eternal life, but she forgot to ensure that he had eternal youth. So eventually, Tithonus became so withered with age that he turned into a cricket. So
oh
that's what the
my.
confusion is with the name. So this guy too, like he had eternal life, but um, he definitely wasn't a young dude. But cool episode, cool episode. I definitely dug that. So now we're gonna get to the controversy.
Yeah.
Let's get controversial, people. Two fathers, and right after we got one son. Let me go here and click on this little thing here. February 7th, 1999. Viewed by 18 million people, written by Frank Sputnitz and Chris Carter, directed by Kim Manners. So the heavy hitters are out. 8.8 rating on IMDb. The unexpected return of Cassandra Spender in an attack by alien rebel forces by the Syndicate's hand. in a move that threatens the survival of their carefully crafted conspiracy. So, Pete, what you got
Yeah,
here for
yeah. This is probably like one of until probably like season 9. This is like really one of the last big epic two-part mythology episodes. Because after this, it's you basically have the season 6 finale, and then there really and the season 7 finale, and then there really isn't much more mythology. Like I'm halfway through season 8, and except for a bit of the season premiere, there really isn't a lot of mythology in season 8 at all. So here they go full on everything that you got in the movie. You're getting here more actually, because it begins with the return of Cassandra Spender, who
Mhm.
was abducted by aliens more than a year earlier. And in the beginning, we find her being operated on in a train car, and the alien rebels show up, kill all the doctors, burn everything, leaving only her and her doctor alive. So this is good news for her son Jeffrey, who kind of tries to
Oh,
but she doesn't want to talk to Jeffrey because she knows he won't believe him. In the meantime, the cigarette smoking man is convinced that she needs to die because she is the first successful alien human hybrid, and the rebels are just going to go all out and fuck with their plans. Um, Krychek is in there as well. He is basically on the side that they should side with the rebels against the aliens. So this creates some division as well. In the meantime, the rebels have also infiltrated the syndicate, which proves pretty disastrous. Um, Starts killing syndicate members. This is not a good two-parter for the syndicate. They get
mhm.
really fucked in this one. Um, we have some interaction between the cigarette smoking man and Fowley, who is just totally in his pocket, totally stabbing Mulder in the back. Um, what else do we have here? This isn't the part of the episode where we get some dialogue between Smoking Man and Cassandra. I think that's in the second half. So it's got almost everything but that. Um, we get a cliffhanger, of course, because it's a two-parter. Cassandra escapes from the hospital and goes to Mulder and demands that he kill her,
Mhm.
because if he doesn't, um, if the aliens learn of her existence, colonization is imminent. And Mulder has given it some serious thought, just as Skinner is trying to break down his door. So, all over the place, but in a good way. Again, one of those really cinematic mythology two parters that throws everything but the kitchen sink in there, does move the story forward. It's easy to reflect on these mythology episodes as being things where you didn't really find out much and the story never advanced. But that's only because in later episodes they really doubled down on it and kind of tried to do a little revisionist history. But for the most part, these episodes do move the story and do tell you something. It just doesn't seem like that with the benefit of hindsight, because of the way they kind of tried to milk it, and to do that they kind of had to just sort of overlook some things that they pretty clearly said earlier in the series.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I really liked both of these. I mean, we can kind of just talk about both. As you know, it's kind of tough to talk about one and not the other. There's one son right there. It's a bad day for the syndicate. But I gave both of them 5 stars. I think this is one of the strongest mythology episodes in a long time. In a long, long time. And like Pete said, it's really epic. It doubles down on a lot of the stuff from the movie, but even goes back all the way from season 1 with the alien fetus. And for me, it felt like Chris Carter's best attempt, and I think he was successful at just tying up a lot of loose ends and giving us that ending. Which, by the way, when I gave that little message in the last video, I had said the word redux. We'll do a redux this week, and then I mentioned, oh, don't remind me of these episodes. Redux, redux. I hated them. I didn't mean redux, guys. I meant to say the last episodes of this season, because Pete just mentioned, oh my God, the sixth extinction, whatever it is, those were horrible. And that's where it's clear that, okay, they were just trying to start from scratch and trying to create something new. This mythology here is where everything just kind of ends in a really nice spot. But it does leave the show kind of mythology less because of it. But some things that I dug, Cassandra being back, in the
Yeah.
Faceless. Um, and I was asking throughout the episode, like, where's Diana? I wonder if they got rid of her because she was such a shit character. And then we find out at the end that, I put at the end of my notes, oh, there she is, because Cigarette Smoking Man is narrating all this. He's talking to Diane. So we find out that Diane, okay, or Diana, is it Diana or Diana? I always forget. I think it's Diana.
Diana.
Um, she's in cahoots with the cigarette smoking man. Who isn't? Okay. Um, and we get more confusion as far as Mulder's sisters, because Cassandra says that was not Mulder's sister when he saw her with the cigarette smoking man, that there's a bunch of clones. Um, so we're getting a lot of explanations for a lot of mysteries. And Pete, I just watched last night Closure. I was like, oh my God, where we kind of do get a final explanation of what really happened to Mulder's sister. We'll talk about that in a couple weeks. But yeah, aliens take over. Syndicate was supposed to help by making human alien hybrid slaves. So this really does break down the plan a little bit clearer. And it seems like it almost paints the syndicate in a good light in a way. I mean, it seems like they're trying to do the right thing the wrong way, which is basically, look, we can't fight off these aliens, so we're just going to kind of fake it till we make it. We're going to let them colonize us, but we'll make these human alien hybrids in the meantime, which can survive the purity oil, which we now know since the movie and since the first episode of the season. Once it gets in you, you're going to get a little alien baby gestated in you real quick, and then little alien baby pops out. And so their plan is, hey, we need a human alien hybrids to kind of be able to not be susceptible to this oil, but also at the same time, we're going to try to create a vaccine for the oil. So this is the plan. Okay. And we find out that Mulder's dad was not for this plan, but eventually, they got him to agree. And that's why he gave Samantha up for some of these experiments. And these rebel aliens are trying to stop all this from going down. I like that Krychek said that resistance was futile, and I wonder why. Tricky card up. Okay. And yeah, Spender's just a piece of shit. I can't stand him, and I love how he gets double bitch slapped by the cigarette smoking man. And it shows how much the cigarette smoking man really respects Mulder. Like, you pale to Fox Mulder, because the cigarette smoking man was trying to do like Darth Vader to Luke Skywalker deal with like you are my, I am your father, and we can rule together and all that shit. And Spender was like, I ain't doing it. Okay, so he gets double bitch slapped, which I thought was really funny. Um, but then something a little worse happens to Spender when we get to
Yeah.
episode 2, which actually William B. Davis really hated having to do. I was reading here because he really liked working with the actor. But one son, guys, is the uh, 12th episode of the season. February 14th, 1999 was when it premiered to 16.57 million viewers. And check this out, Pete, 9.0 rating on IMDb. People really
Oh
love this.
wow.
Chris Carter and Frank wrote this one again. An alien rebellion leads the syndicate to its demise as their 25-year conspiracy approaches its disastrous collapse. And yes, Cassandra wants Mulder to kill her. And that's a really intense scene, right? Because that's like the cliffhanger from the other episode. But before he can do anything, Diana Fowley breaks in. They capture Scully. They capture Mulder. They capture Cassandra, take them to CDC. And I will say this, Pete. I swear Mulder was looking down to see some Scully boobs when they were in the quarantine showers. I just noticed stuff like that. He was like, let me take
Yeah.
a so Cassandra being the first successful alien human hybrid means the aliens can come. Okay, so they're trying to hide um, this fact while the alien rebels want to keep her alive. So it's confusion all over the place. Mulder is trying to get out of this here, and he runs into our friend Marita. Okay,
Yes. Not doing so well.
yeah, she's not doing so well because she was also subject of experiments by the syndicate to create a black oil vaccine. And she says that the colonists are going to begin colonization if they learn of Cassandra's existence as an alien human hybrid. So they really, really, really want to keep this secret. Meanwhile, Scully's trying to get information on Diana. She hasn't trusted her from the start. And the lone gunman help her. But Mulder still trusts her, you know? And cigarette smoking man is at her house, in fact, when Mulder goes to try to talk to her, and he tells Mulder that Jeffrey, his son, has betrayed him. And he's also telling Mulder, he's breaking everything down, that they agreed
Yeah.
by majority vote against Bill Mulder's objection to align with the alien colonists, okay, in order to delay colonization. Um, and the colonists, they said, okay, but you got to give up members of your own family in exchange for the alien fetus. We get super callback. But Bill Mulder didn't want to do this. That's why Samantha Mulder was taken a little bit later. And they used this fetus in order to create alien human hybrids who could survive colonization. So they're trying to do all this secret stuff under the aliens' noses, but everything goes to shit because they start to find out. Um, hmm, excuse me, I got something in my mouth. Um, what do you call it? In order to survive, they're trying to do this all under the aliens' noses, but you can't do anything on the aliens' noses, man. So basically, everything's going to shit. Jeffrey is discovering finally that, hey, Mulder and Scully are probably right about some stuff. He goes to the syndicate headquarters. Only Krychek is there. And Krychek tells him that the members are preparing to give the hybrid genes, okay, except for Spender's father, who's gone to retrieve Cassandra. And then when Diana goes back to her apartment, Mulder's there, okay, and the two go to the hangar at El Rico Air Force Base. Jeffrey goes to the hospital, finds out his mother's gone, and then Martha's there and tells him how to get to El Rico Air Force Base. Everybody's going there. Um, But the alien rebels, you got to explain a little bit of the alien rebels to me later, Pete, because that's the part that always confuses me with the mythology. He's there, he's taking the form of one of the syndicate members, and they're killing off syndicate members one by one by one by one. Um, and they try to get to this Air Force base, but they don't get there in enough time. The syndicate does, and this is the big wow at the end of this episode. They go there with their families, okay? The cigarette smoking man and Diana Foley arrive, okay? And then there's the light, the aliens are coming down. But who shows up? It's not the aliens. Because the syndicate, what? I guess they want to have like a powwow with the aliens to see if they can resolve shit. But
Yeah,
instead, rebels come down and they kill the entire syndicate while the cigarette smoking man and Diana Fowley, they get out of the car, they're walking in the direction like, this doesn't look right. Let's turn around. So they get the fuck out of there. Um, and then the next day, Mulder, Scully, and Walter Skinner and Jeffrey report to the assistant director, and Kirsch finds out that all the syndicate dies. And Jeffrey finally mans up. Finally mans the fuck up because I can't stand this character. And he says, look, Mulder and Scully could have prevented all of this. Okay. They're the ones that should be on the X Files. I'm leaving. I'm resigning. So he gets down to the office, the X Files office in the basement. And who's there? Our favorite asshole, cigarette smoking man. Shoots him and leaves. Boom,
yep,
boom. Man, so much here, and I'll admit to cheating. I was reading off of the wiki page because it's way too much to remember. But it was a hell of a two-parter, people. A hell of a two-parter. And the syndicate is gone. Syndicate is totally gone. What are your thoughts on part
yeah.
two?
I think honestly, if you just tweaked a few things, this story arc probably would have been like a perfect series finale, because they don't wrap up everything. Like the aliens are still out there, and they're still intending on colonization. So you do have that loose end. You have the Samantha loose end, which actually never actually gets satisfactorily resolved anyway. So this would be just about as good a place to end it. But you get pretty much the straight dope on what is going on with the syndicate and the aliens and their history, and what happened to Samantha. Um, you get the extermination of the syndicate. You get about as much answers and resolutions out of this two-parter as you get out of any mythology story in the series.
Mm-hmm.
So they would have to tweak some things, like the smoking man, of course, is still reigning supreme, still a bastard, kills his own son. But there's enough resolution here that there would just need to be some minor changes to make it a perfect series ending.
That's a good, okay, interesting thought. I never thought about it like that, but I kind of agree with you because what I was going to mention, Pete, is that for a lot of people, well, let's say the ones that didn't just kind of drop off after the movie, I think, the movie, the fans were still there after the movie, even through season six, even though they saw there was this tonal shift, maybe a few people dropped off. But whoever didn't drop off for, before these first eight, 10 episodes, I think definitely the drop off is here. Like this is just the line in the sand of the X Files ending, and then whatever we got after, and then whatever you got after. I think it's like you really, really love the show, and that's why you keep watching. Because there's not much more story to tell as far as the mythology. Like what Pete said, like this would have been a perfect ending. Um, I know in the X Files groups, there's a lot of people that hate these 2 episodes because of what it does. It's almost like Chris Carter said, let's just burn the whole house down. Everything that people love. we're just gonna burn it down, which is basically the syndicate, and um, a lot of the deep throat type of characters are gone. Um, the friction is gone with Spender, but I don't know if he was a fan favorite or not. But okay, he's gone. The tension is gone as far as Mulder and Scully being out of the X Files, but now they're back in the X Files. So what do you have after this? You have just Monsters of the Week episodes, which are still decent, but the show, as far as its mythology and the mysteries of it, I I'm just not curious about anything. I mean, I can't wait to get to season 8 and 9 and the whole super soldier story, only because I know I didn't like it first run. I'm pretty sure I didn't like it when I rewatched the show the last time, but I'm curious to watch it one more time and see if there's any merit to it. But for me, it just felt like we don't know where to go with this bullshit. So we're just, doing whatever. Um, so for me, this is it. This is like line in the sand episode. And it was great. And I gave both of them 5 stars, but it's just a different X Files after this for damn sure. Um,
Yeah. I
but
think what would have made this a good ending is basically if after the rebels killed the syndicate members, the smoking man survives that because we got to have him around, but maybe not have him survive it, and to have the rebels win, basically, to have the
mhm.
rebels win out over the gray-skinned aliens, and say like, okay, Earth, you get to live in peace now. We've spent enough time on this shitty rock. We don't want to be here anymore, so we're going to go
Mhm.
away and leave you alone and give back all the abductees. I mean, it's kind of almost too happy an ending for the X Files, but I mean that would have given it some finality and been like a real ending.
Mm. We got two guys here on the wiki page that said the double episode should have been aired much sooner. Way too much of this show is dedicated to Monster of the Week stuff. If Chris Carter could write better, who had a better writing team, the mythology could have expanded much more. Another guy said the same. I really wish the story arc had been aired much earlier. With the collapse of the Syndicate, the future mythology episodes just weren't as good. And, well, I don't think you could have done this story before the movie. Um,
Mhm.
but nonetheless,
A
it
note
did.
too
Go
is
ahead.
that Veronica Cartwright got her second Emmy nomination for an X Files performance from this
Oh,
episode.
oh, nice. Well, she's so great. Such a great actress. So I feel it. But I just felt, I mean, you kill off all the syndicate and just leave the cigarette smoking man. As great as a character as he was, I just don't have that threat with just him. And I think
Right.
we feel that in the following episodes when he does show up. Because it's just this one guy. I mean, he's an evil bastard. But you just can't have this one guy. He becomes like the guy who does everything. He's like what's cool was his interaction with the syndicate, where every once in a while they'd be ready to off him. Actually, they did try to off him,
Hmm.
but he would find a way to come back. So he's fighting these multi-front wars or battles, and by just leaving him, I think the show suffered a little bit. So for me, I mean, we'll wait till I get further ahead. I'm about halfway through season 7. I haven't been hit with any heavy mythology other than the sixth extinction or seventh extinction, whatever it is, episodes, um, which I detested. But I
There
think
is a cigarette smoking man episode, I believe, directed by William B. Davis, or written or directed, or maybe both.
oh
But
god,
yeah, that one is actually pretty good. It's a lot better than the one directed by Gillian Anderson.
okay, so I'll look forward to that. I will definitely look forward to that. So it's not episodes 1 through 6 that we looked at tonight. It's episodes 7 through 12. So let's do it. Terms of Endearment. Is this a skip or a watch?
It's a watch, but barely. Mostly, watch it for Bruce Campbell.
I agree with you. Ranking is a definite watch for me. One of my favorites.
Yes, it is a classic.
This one, I'd say skip this. You're not missing anything.
That
SR8
is
whatnot.
the no, actually, I would go skip on that as well. First one of the season.
First one of the season, and just like we said, I think the Bruce Campbell one is barely a watch. For me, this is barely a skip. It's
Yeah,
just barely enough where it's like nothing much is added to the show if you watch it or don't. But I thought it was a solid enough 40 minutes of TV. Anyway, Tithonus,
yep, definite watch. Good
I gave it a
Monster of the Week
watch.
episode.
Yeah, creepy little episode, and you get a lot of Scully.
Yep.
And then the two-parter here, I'm going definite watches. You got to watch these.
Oh yeah, essential.
Essential viewing if you're an X-Files fan. And that's it, y'all. We are done. Okay, put a fork in both of us. At least we get to sleep in some cool weather, so we won't be baking like roasted chickens. Um,
Yeah.
so, thanks everyone again for watching. I'm going to sign off. We'll be back next Thursday to look at, I think, 5 episodes. And I might watch The X Cops in just a few minutes. I've been looking forward to watching that episode. Okay. Until soon. Bye bye.
All right.